Hello guys, welcome to AngularJS with me Muhammad Maruf Najm. In this lesson we're going to learn how to send HTTP post requests from AngularJS code to a PHP file or page. Whenever we want to send an HTTP post request from Angular code to a PHP file, we usually use this approach. Two important pieces of codes are here. This one is the Angular code and this is the PHP code. This Angular code is used to create our request and send the request, and this PHP code is used to get or capture the request from the AngularJS. Okay, now we describe the Angular code. First of all, we create an HTTP variable here as request. HTTP is a service. We need to pass an array to HTTP function or service. And inside this array, we need to identify at least three things. The first thing is the method, which describes or identifies how we want to send our request. It identifies the method of sending our request. Since we're using post, here we write post. The second thing is the URL. The URL is the address of the PHP file to which we are going to send the data. And the third thing is the data, the form data or the data we want to send to the PHP file. And the data is usually sent as an array, in which we see that each object is sent as a name value parameter or name value object. When we have made this request variable, we call the then function on that variable. The name of the variable request is optional. You can use another name, or even you do not need to create such a variable. Here you can put the dot after this HTTP called method and then use the then function. Okay, finally we call the then function along with two parameters. As we see here, the two parameters are both anonymous functions. The first anonymous function is the success function, and this function executes when our HTTP requests go successfully. And the second parameter or the second anonymous function executes when there is an error in the request. And also in our PHP file, the file which is used to get the request, we need to write at least these two lines. In the first line, we have created a variable or declared a variable called post data. Post data is optional here. You can use another name. And we store in this variable what? The data that comes from AngularJS or comes from the request. And we get the data using the file getContents method of PHP. And later on, when we have captured the data or received the request, we need to decode that request or data using JSON decode function of PHP. And we store the returning value of this method into another variable named here as request. With these two lines of code, we have made everything. Now it is time for us to process the data. In order to get each value here, we need to use this request along with the name parameter. For example, in this line of code, we are going to capture this value or get this value. So we say that request along with its name1 property, and the value is assigned to a variable called value1. So in this way, we can send our HTTP request from Angular code to PHP file. And we will see how it works in practice in the next part.